episode we are going to discuss Angular material components practically. In previous episodes we have installed our project and set up our Git repository as well. So let's start with the Angular material. First of all you have to do is search for Angular material. Here you will get the Angular material UI component library. Click here. On the upper hand, click on components. And in this lecture, what we will do is we will explore each component step by step. How to install these components in our Angular project and how to use them. Okay. We have installed the Angular material library in our previous episode. So if you haven't checked that out, do check that stuff before proceeding to this episode. Let's begin with input field. To install any Angular material component here, you can see all the basic methods which are supported by this input method. Here we have an API and here we have an examples. So as you can see, you can run all the examples here. You can see the animation available here, right? Now how to install these things? First of all you have to do is go to this API tab and you have to install this material input module, this API reference to your project as well. So in your project, open your learning courses directory where we have set up our project. In this app.module.ts, you have to add that material input module API reference here, and this material input module you have to import this inside this imports array. Okay, except the component like our admin home component, admin login component should be declared inside declaration. Okay, here, and these things will be added automatically, you don't have to touch it. But whenever you add the material components here, you have to import that inside the imports array. So I have added material input module here. Now inside admin login.component.html, what we have to do is go to the examples tab here. Which example you want, you have to add that here. So let's add basic input tag here. Go to the view code here and copy this form. Here you will get some errors like email form control is not assigned, email form control has error. So remove everything except input tag. So all you have to understand here is this one. Remove all the extra things which you can see. So we have the basic stuff here, one form tag here, material form field. This will create the material input for us, and this material label will create a label for us, and this input field which we write, input type is equal to email, material input, and the placeholder whatever you want to write here. And if we run this now, you can see the material input is added here. So this is a label which is added here, right? We have this material label and the placeholder is this. Now when we click on this label, that placeholder will be visible. So in this way you can do this. But if we use this without material, Angular material, so what we will get the output is this placeholder first name, like this. So you can see the difference here. What you have to do is you have to create one label, and inside that label we have one placeholder. So in this way you can add the material components one by one. Now what I want is, I want it to be required. This input field should be required, and if see, you can see here the star is added here. Now what we will do here is we will add one error is required. Okay, now what we want is when user do not enter here, we want to show this email error, and we will add one class here, alert. This is a bootstrap class, alert danger. So this will add the error box below this input text field. Now we don't want it to be displayed every time. We want it only when the user do not enter this email. Now to get the value of this input text email, all you have to do is add ng model here. Now if I save this, you can see here one error inside the console. ng model is used within a form tag. Either the name attribute must be set or the form control must be defined as standalone in ng model options. So what here the error is, if we declare the form tag with ng model, then either name attribute must be set or the form control must be defined. So if we add the ng model here, we have to compulsorily add the name attribute here as specified into that error. Now if I save this, you can see the error is gone. Declare the change event. Whenever user types into this text box, we will use this change event and get email address from here and pass the email address. This email address you have to pass here. And here we have declared one method in ts method get email address, and this is the ng model type. Like we declare string type, like we declare number type. Here we want it as an ng model. If we don't write it, we will get this error. By default, as we have seen, the email address implicitly has any type. We have seen this in episode 3. By default, data type assigned is any. So we have to specify the specific type which the parameter should accept, and we are printing that email address inside console.log. Now if I save this, we are getting one error here. Property email address does not exist on type admin login component. Now this email address is not known to this input tag, because we have this name attribute specifies this input name attribute, but this email address is different. So for that, all you have to do is we have to tell that input tag that email address with this id symbol, hash symbol, is declared with an ng model here. Then your error must be gone. Now if I write AA here, we have to specify one condition here, ng if. We want to show this email address only if the condition here is if email address which we have declared here, email address is valid, dot valid. Okay, so this is a property which tells the email address is valid or not, and if that email address is not valid, then only display this. Now the one thing you have to note here is, if we are adding the ng model into the input tag, you have to add this forms module and reactive forms module into your app.module.ts. Firstly, we have added this material input module only. You have to add this module as well. Without this, you will get some errors. Okay, so this is important. Now here what is happening here is we are not getting the result properly. If I type AAA, the input address is still valid, and if I do not write anything, the input address is still valid. So here, if you can see here, we have this ng model here, which we are printing using this console.log. So we will go to this ng model. Here you can see the name attribute assigned to this is email address. Okay, now we are using this valid property. So by default, valid is true. Like by default, email address is considered as a valid address. So we can use these properties to check what this touch property is indicating, that we have focused on this email box, we have clicked here, so that is being indicated using this touched. So if I click here, this is showing true. Untouched means we have not written anything inside this touch box, we have not touched this text box yet, so this is false. What is this dirty flag indicating? Dirty flag means we have written something inside the email box, so this is indicating that. And pristine property indicates whether the box is empty or not. So box is not empty, so that is being indicated using the pristine. And to use these properties from ng model, you can use it this way. Email address, the name of your email address box, and the ID of the ng module associated dot the property name. Now one thing you have to notice here is we are not getting the result here, right? ng model is not creating the error box even if it is invalid. So why this is happening? Because inside the input tag we have to write the required parameter compulsorily. Without it, that error will not be displayed. So as you can see here, if I write something here, the email is required. Now we can see the address is, we are writing something, so because of which the error is gone. If I remove everything from this, like see, you will get an error here. But if I run this again, by default the email is required, so this is not a correct way. When user touch this and write something, then only I want that email address error. So for that, what you have to do is add email address dot touch property, like when user touch it, then only we have to display the error. Okay, like this. Now if I run this, by default there is no error. If I touch this and press the tab button from the keyboard, you can see that we need email address to be compulsorily filled. So that is how you can handle this error, email address dot touch. Without this required attribute, we cannot get the error properly, so make sure you have this. Okay, so this is how you can handle the errors inside the required text field. And we have seen how to add the input tag. Quickly let's create one more text field so that you will get more better idea. Let's add material label here. To add the label, write label input type is equal to text, like this. We got our first label and the input text. Now you have to wrap this inside the material form field to get the animation effect, like this. Wrap this inside the material form field. Okay, now here what we want is give it as an first name, like this, first name. We want placeholder as first name. Now as you can see, we have the label and one input box here, but effects are gone, material effects are gone. Why? Because we want it to be as material label, not label. We want it as material label, and you have to add the material input here as well. Instead of this type is equal to text, we will use this material input attribute. So we will get our animation effect back like this. Okay, now to get it on the next line, we will add one break like this. Okay, so this is the first name. Now we want it to be the compulsorily field. So first of all, write required, which will make it a compulsory field, and to add the error we will use the same method, alert danger. So here first name is required. We don't want it to be displayed every time. For that, what we will do here is we will add one condition here, ng if whatever the name you will assign here, that will be added here. So we will use the first name dot valid and not, because whenever the first name is not valid or whenever the first name is not added into the text field, then only we want this error, and also when the user touch that field. So we will use this touched, and so it will check the condition. If it is true, then only it will display this. Now we don't have this first name declared, like we don't know, the input box do not know what is this first name. So we have to assign that here using the ng model. Ng model, if we write ng model, we have to compulsorily add the name attribute, and we have to assign this, and we have to tell this input box that first name is our ng model and it is bind with the ng model. So I am not using the tough words so that you can't understand the things. I am using it in a very easy way. ng model requires name, and to make sure first name is connected with this ng model, we will use this id and this ng model like this, and add the change event here to check get first name like this, and we have to add this method into this first name of type ng model, console.log first name. Okay, like this. If you do not write it, it will show an error. This is how you can achieve this. Using this first name dot value, we have the value property, right? As we have seen, you can use this way. Whatever you will add here, you can get the value from the input box using this way. First name dot value. If I don't write this, you will get the ng model completely, and you can see the properties here. What is the value? You can see here AAA. We have added the AAA here. Okay, this is how you can use the properties of any input text field. I hope you got the basic understanding how to add the input box, material input box into our Angular project. Similarly, like this only, you can add any other components. For example, if you want to add the buttons, so go to the components tab here, go to buttons, use this API first, add the import module into the app.module.ts here like this, and inside the imports you need to add this. So make sure to add these forms module properly, reactive forms module, material input module, without which you will get an error surely. So make sure you add this into the app.module.ts. Now we have the button module. Now how to add the button? Go to examples here, which button you want, add that. So we will use this primary. Go to the code here, we will add the basic button here like this, button, material, raised button class, and basic. So go here like this. This will add the basic button into our project like this, basic, and all the animations are added here. If we add the color as primary here, you can see the primary color is being added. Similarly, you can add any example from here like this. All these are the material classes, so that's what the advantage you are getting here. You don't have to design the button from scratch using CSS. So this is how the buttons can be added into the material project. Now to get the action here, all you have to do is create a click event here, basic button clicked. like this. You have to write this method here, otherwise you will get some error. Property basic button click does not exist on type admin login component, so you have to add that method here to get an action. So we will create one alert here when the basic button is clicked. Basic button is clicked like this, okay. This is how you can add the click event also into the buttons. Let's explore more examples here. See this snack bar, show snack bar. You can see the snack bar here, right? A display box. So for that, all you have to do is go to this API, add the snack module here, app.module.ts, here material snack bar module, and import this into this imports array as well. So we have added the material snack bar. There are many examples here, whichever you want. For example, this, go to its code, copy this code here and add this here. This is your material input box. Now you can see some errors. Open snack bar method is not available. We have created one button and added click event. This method is not available. So go to the TS file here. You will see the open snack bar method here, like this. Now we are getting some errors. We have not declared snack bar and what this component indicates. So for that purpose, as you can see here, we have one constructor declared here, okay. So declare that constructor inside the export class like this and add this material. What you have to do is click on this, you will get one bulb here. Click here and add import from material snack bar. So this will add the material snack bar automatically into your imports header. This is how you can solve this error. Now all you want is, we don't want this snack bar to open from this component. What we will do is, we will, instead of open from component, we will give it as an open and pass one message here. This message will be our string. So what we will do is, we will declare message as a string here. This is a basic snack bar. So we have to pass this message to this string. We are getting it here. To open the snack bar with open method, you have to add the message which is written here. We have created one message string. This is a basic snack bar, and you have to add this single quotes and one method which is adding the duration, how much time it takes to display that snack bar, and the panel class for a blue snack bar. Let's run this to get it in action. Remove this. If I click here, you can see this is a basic snack bar. First of all, let me add a break. Here. You can remove it as well. Okay, this is a basic snack bar. Just basic thing we have added. We have removed all this form field, only the button for the basic snack bar, and when we click here, we will get this snack bar here. So open snack bar method is having some logic with this snack bar which is created inside this constructor. Okay, you have to declare this constructor, and whenever you get the error, you have to add the import from here using the bulb. And this is how you can add the snack bar. let's see other components. You can try as many components from this, so that is your task to use all these components, and whatever error you are getting you can mail me, like whatever difficulties you are facing you can mail me that. Okay. Let's add the tabs here. Go to the API, app.module, material tabs module. Okay, inside the examples tab, let's see which example we want. Let's take this example. We want this 3 tabs, so all you have to do is copy this. Unless and until you try these things, you will not be able to solve the errors. So as you can see, we are getting the error here. Go to the TS file, constructor, inside constructor async tab is declared as an observable. We will see what observable is. For now we will add this rxjs, add the import header file as well, like this. Here we have one export interface example tab, so add that as well. Do whatever the things are there, you can see the effect properly. Okay, content 1, now where this content is written here, tab.label and tab.content. So these labels are written here first. Okay, you can change it here, first label, second label, and content 1 of first label, content 2 of second label. So this way you can change the content here as well. Okay, now if you don't want to do this here inside the async tabs observable, you can check other examples as well here, like this. Inside HTML you can also do this. So for example, let's take this. This is a basic example. Without any complex thing, you can change it from HTML as well if you don't want it to be dynamic, like this. Easy. Okay, animation duration, if you want to remove this you can remove it. This. Okay, if you want to add the animation duration you can add it in milliseconds. So this is how you can add the material tabs. Let's see how to add the toolbar into our app. Let's add a toolbar into our app. Copy this. Here. Now what the error is showing, material icon module is not available. So here you have to add the material icon module, and here you have to write the icon, material icon module, import it here as well. Now what the error is, material toolbar. Why? Because we have not added this API toolbar module also. So inside app.module.ts add the toolbar module, and inside this import as well material toolbar module. Let's see. So this is how you can add the toolbar into your app as well. Okay, we have added 3 toolbars. You can we have added the 3 toolbars. You can make it as much as possible. You can make it as short as possible, like this. Material toolbars, only one toolbar. Okay, you can try to add all these material components now. For example, use this autocomplete as a task here. try to add all the components which we have not discussed in this session. You can get the grid list component here, list component, progress bar component, ripples component. Like this you can add the components into this. Now your task in this project here is design the first page which we have discussed. So the task here is now to design this web page, this first web page admin login screen. Now you know how to add the admin login material text box. You have to use this material text box instead of this basic rounded text box. Design this web page using the material components. Okay, you have to add the buttons using material, Google sign in button. This is a basic UI. You can create this screen on your own, right? So this is your task for this session. Make sure to submit this task on this email ID and also deploy it on the Bitbucket. So whatever we have seen today is we have to deploy that on Bitbucket as well. So you can see we have changed this admin module HTML and we have added some code here. So index, click here, select all the files into the index, commit it. We have added Angular material components to learn, push it, commit it. So this is how you can commit the entire code into the source tree, so that I can also check in future what you have done in this course. So here inside the admin login screen, you have to create this screen in today's lecture using the Angular material components. I hope you got the basic understanding how to add the components into the Angular material. In the next episode, what we will do is we will create one web page and add some actions into that web page using the TS file. So that's all for today's episode. See you in the next lecture.